So, hello and welcome, guys. Welcome to ETimes. Welcome, Eisha. Welcome, Veer. It's a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you.
How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
Masta.
I'm
Okay,
like
before
I
I
said,
started, I was asking where is Eisha right now. So, Eisha is enjoying in Goa right now. I want to ask you, where are you right now? In Mumbai or where?
Yeah man, I think जहाँ ईशा साल के 10 महीने रहती है वो वहाँ है और मैं जहाँ साल के 10 महीने रहता हूँ मैं वहाँ हूँ.
That's nice. Okay, so we're gonna talk about your show, What the Folk. It's a what I should start by saying it's a cult show. People are really appreciating it. I've seen all the 3 seasons, all right. I'm waiting for the season 4. Somewhere I'm excited about it, but somewhere I'm even sad that it's a season finale, all right. So I saw the trailer, I got the nostalgic feeling and everything. I want to know what's your state of mind right now. How excited are you guys? How sad are you guys? What's going in your mind? Let's start with that.
I mean, when we shot it, I was really excited about it. And then now that it's releasing, everyone that we're talking about is talking about that this is the last season. So now it's like excitement is now changed into like, yeah.
Is it healthy that this season, it's a finale, it's a season finale?
Yeah, every time somebody talks about it, it definitely hits, but more than that, because there's so much that we also haven't seen. So I keep telling people the same thing that let me just watch the whole thing and then we'll cry together that it has ended,
Okay, Isha, tell me what's your headspace? What's your state of mind right now? What's going on?
Well, so actually the thing is that now that the episodes have started to release, for everyone else who has any investment in the show, now it's the beginning of the end. But for us, that happened on the last day of shoot,
Right.
So I definitely already kind of went through that. But I think I realized during this, I remember on that day itself, like when we kind of realized, oh shit, like this is the end. I realized like how much we've taken it for granted. Ki, like whatever happens in life, this will always be there. Of course, we didn't know that on
Yeah.
season. Actually, we just knew that like we always knew while shooting it. We kind of knew in our hearts that we'll be doing it back next year. So it was a very like boom, yahi to aana hai. We knew that around October, November, we'll all be sort of together again, and we're doing this. So I was saying earlier also in another interview once that we have as actors, we have very little security in our work and our life. So this became a very comfortable, safe, secure space for us to kind of express ourselves and be ourselves. And because we created this show from all of us from like nothing, it was so small. And like today you're calling it a cult show, but when we started this, we're like, what is a web series? Like, what does that even mean? So it's kind of grown from there, even in our own minds, right? So I think now I kind of realize that like, oh, like, yeah, this has actually been a journey, That
Okay.
when you're
I'll be okay with it if you guys shed a tear or two in between. I'll be happy with that because the season is ending. But let's go back in time. Okay, let's get a little
you guys
nostalgic
need
about it.
time, no? So like, like cast off what the heads a tear.
No, but I want to go back in time and let's rehash a few things. All right, let's talk about the day when you actually heard the script and you guys were on it. What was about this particular show? Like you said, you started from the scratch. What was about this show that really clicked with you guys? And you guys said, yeah, let's take it forward and let's see how people are going to appreciate it. What was that?
For me, it was my character, because actually in season 1, my character doesn't. The bulk of except for one episode, I'm usually on Skype in the show. So my whole interaction with Veer and I did very little acting together actually, because it's like the split frame that we're seeing right now. So his scenes were recorded and then played for me, and then I was responding to them. So it was only after that I actually met him, and then we did our, which like was episode 3, I think, in season 1, where I'm physically there. But for me, what was really nice about the show when I first read it, and to be honest, like we like to talk like this, that how I pick my roles and this and that. But quite frankly, I was just free and I didn't have anything else to do that week. So I was like, sure, like it sounds like a good idea. And I really like the character. I really like this idea of like this younger man, older woman space. I like the normalcy with which they were dealing with it. Like I like the normalcy with which the couple handled this thing. Like it was never a big deal for them that they have an age gap. It was just a big deal for the people around them. And I enjoyed playing this woman who kind of, just stood by whatever she did with like so much ease. And I think that character has come to mean a lot to me, like in real life as well, because there's so much love that was received for her.
Right.
So I get marriage proposals for Anita, like not Eisha Chopra, but like I get people like DMing me that they want to marry Anita.
Oh yeah, yeah,
That's a
relatable.
sweet compliment. That's a very sweet compliment, actually. If you take it in a
Is it? I'm just like, but then like maybe who, and it's not her.
Okay, that was a good stuff. Okay, Veer, what about you? How about you? Isha, why are you looking there and talking? Let's look at me and talk. You're talking like this.
I walked into the room at, but I was trying to.
Okay. Chala, cool.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take it away. What's
Well, again, I will tell you one thing that just like Isha, we didn't pick the script. I think the script and the makers picked both of us. And for me, the first time I read the script, I could not make much of Nikhil and Anita's relationship, to be frank, because it starts from it, but it starts from video calls and everything. And most of the premises are with the in-laws. I remember I gave my first audition, it didn't work well, and then I gave my second audition. It was somewhere there, but there's another scene that I couldn't do better. And then third time when they called me for the audition, that was the time where they told me that your wife's, the wife's part is locked, and Isha is going to play that. And it was sort of not Isha, but Anita's swayambar that day, because they were like three boys doing the same scene with her, being her husband in that audition. She was the co-actor to all the actors. And me being me, I think I'm not like instantly comfortable with anyone. और ऊपर से अगर वो लड़की हो तो मतलब उसको तो वैसे ही मतलब like 2 into 8 हो जाएगा, फिर वो 2 के 16 दिन लग जाएंगे. But somehow when we did the scene, not that it's not that something clicked as Nikhil and Anita, but we were playing with the scene. I think that chemistry worked pretty well in that scene, because when the director Richard said that he was convinced in that scene, I also figured that before this, whatever scene I did the scene better. But this seemed real, because there's this actor who's giving me proper lines, and we're doing the scene. And we didn't even plan of hugging or doing anything with that scene. We just Bri read the lines and we went for it, and it was match.
all right? That's nice.
Yeah.
That
So I
was
think
my
we should
next
give
question,
Isha also credit for me being part of the show, because she did this. I think she did the scene a little better with me than the other guys, because she in her mind already had decided, okay, out of these three guys, probably this guy is a little decent. So I'll put my full effort to this guy.
That's a good thing. That was actually my next question. You guys, I wanted to ask, like, who broke the ice first? How did you guys get comfortable? Like, how long
It has always been Isha. It has always been Isha. Breaking the ice has always been her department. Like, even when we're not in touch for the whole year, or even if we have arguments or anything, but every time we come back to the scene, I would give it to her that she starts every time that Isha has a lot of inputs before any scene that we do. But with Nikhil and Anita, the input was never for Isha the actor. It was always for Nikhil and Anita. And frankly speaking, I can't even मैं दोबारा शो भी देख लूं 3 सीजन में बता भी नहीं सकता कितने सारे improvised lines हैं और कितने सारी actually script में थी. So मतलब it was breaking the ice. Title goes to Eisha Chopra. Yes.
Okay, Isha, how did you do that? When did you decided that we are getting comfortable right now and we can take this both couple as a couple forward, or what was it?
So I'll tell you something. Firstly, thank you, Veer. I had a little tear forming at that moment when you said. I'll tell you. So going back to the Swayamvar, to say the next 5 years that happened. As you saw that in season 1, we weren't physically together that much, even though we had to audition together. But because people got so much love, I remember we were on a lot of lists and things like that chemistry kind of took over and had a life of its own. And when you say chemistry, you're not talking about a physical chemistry or a sexual chemistry. It's So if you ever like have heard of like improv classes, in acting, what they say is that the first rule of improv is that you never say no. So if I tell you that nice horns you've got there, you go with it. You don't say no, I don't have horns. And I think that like Veer and I are very different human beings in life, but that's the one thing that what we did for each other, I think, is that we never said no.
Mhm.
No.
True.
And that's why it never felt like acting. It always felt like real life, because it felt like a very supportive where if anyone wanted to try something, the other person never said no. If it didn't work, it didn't work, but we always tried. And I think I always wonder now, because for me now, if he was to walk into a room right now, I will know exactly how he'll say his line, and I'll know how to respond also, because adat pad jati hai, like you have muscle memory for a person after a point, so that happens. And it doesn't matter if you don't meet together, act together, whatever, for like all that time in the middle. That's just how memory works. That's how emotional memory works. You know you're safe with this person.
Right.
And I think that's what I've really appreciated about him as a co-actor or whatever, is that no one ever came in each other's way. We really sort of held each other through these characters, and that's how that's how the whole thing got built. Like this people think we're dating. We don't even talk for 11 months in the middle.
Dating? We are married, bro. We are married. You're my wife.
Yeah, it's so
Or
funny.
actually, either you are my wife or you should be my wife. There are only two things.
Okay, if I have to ask you, right? If I have to ask you, going back in memories again, okay, which is that one thing that will be memorable for you guys? You'll always, it will be always like you will cherish it, or one takeaway that you're going to take away from the show, and actually use it in your life or anything in general.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
You mean like
I
I'm so sorry, but I have to ask this question. Okay.
no, it's
I
fine.
remember many scenes. Like
Or-
I can go back to scenes, and then I can go back to locations. I can many things. Yeah, wow.
for me, it's the cast dynamic. That was one of the most is that we just always had a wonderful cast. I've never seen that people are always getting along. We would have we would bitch about the same things. We would feel happy about the same things. We just all sort of seem to agree on what we all thought was good storytelling, And so somehow I think that is like, there was always this like, like we throw our weight around a lot on this set, because it's like, ye to hamara ghar hai, like this is our, like, hum to kar sakte hain, but I don't act like that on any other set. So of course there are moments like, there's some lovely moments that got created, and I can tell you like, oh, that scene that we shot, and we will know which scene I'm talking about also, or this. But I think like the takeaway was that at all times, like, every people say no about this show, that like it feels so real. How is it possible ki it's not real? How is it possible that you guys aren't dating? How is it possible? Whatever. Yes, I understand that, because it always felt real. I never felt like I was acting. I never felt like I wasn't at that moment. Like I was always being myself. So I don't. Yeah. So I think that was my biggest takeaway. That it always felt like real life to me.
Veer, what about you?
Yeah. For me, actually, she बहुत ही अच्छा point इसने किया, where we throw our weight around, because mostly as an actor, I think I'm very conscious about this, that I don't act like I know it all, especially about the character, because there are writers, there is a director who knows the larger picture, and you can't keep your character the center of everything, even when it is, because the whole show is not only about from my eyes, even if I'm the center of this thing. But somehow on the sets of What the Folks, after doing a couple of seasons, like if there is a new director and he would talk about that this scene, Nikhil would just come and talk like this, I can't help it but tell ki no, this character would not do that. And even as much as I want to be a professional actor, that I don't tell people that I know better, but I'm not trying to say I know better. I'm just trying to say that I know a lot, right? I know a lot. I've dealt with my wife, with my in-laws, with my parents, with my sister-in-law, in so many different ways that you you can't help but know that I know how Anita would react to this. I know how my conversation with, like, there are many times where, I think Isha will agree that we will read the scene and there will be nothing wrong about with what Nikhil is doing. But something that Anita ke dialogue mein kuch likha hua hai na, I would look at Isha and I would say, she won't say this, right? She's not a person who would come up with such such words. She's not. She's a strong woman, and she's not going to say something like that. And many times with her also, even with my parents, so मतलब वो बीच का जो hiccup आता है वो आपकी knowledge की वजह से या फिर knowledge भी नहीं, मतलब आपके experiences की वजह से वो ऐसा hiccup आ जाता है that it's so personal that you can actually stand in front of the director and say that, sir, I believe that this is not how it should be.
Like,
and
it's
I
like
think that authority.
Yeah, like you say about a friend, na, but nahin, like you wouldn't do that. Like they would never do that. They would never pick up the pen. It would, so that I would say familiarity. Like with the
Familiarity.
with the character it has. Because I
Yeah.
remember, in fact, if you remember, season 2 mein, there is a moment where it's a very lovely moment, and I felt it was so nice because it was so subtly done. Where Nikhil and Rita are hanging out in bed. And he's like, "Are you okay?" And she's drinking a bottle of water and she puts it down. And he goes, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm okay. Why? What's wrong?" And he's like, "Anita Sharma ne bottle ki cap nahi dali." Like she doesn't, and that is how, like, he knows. And that's actually what happens with, like, people who know each other and love each other, is that they have so much of a sixth sense about each other that you can't that, like, that something they did not walk in the same way that they do. They didn't look over there like the way they do. Their laugh was different. So in this, I loved this moment because I was like, it's so subtle that she just, because she's such a control freak in life, that the fact that she didn't put the bottle cap back on means that she's not here, which is very unlike her. And then that was the big when she tells him
And
what's
to
wrong.
add to that, there are many things that we do out of just making the scene work, which eventually gets underlined by the audience. Like the same scene that she's talking about, there's this point where they both are sitting on the bed, and she's sitting like 2 feet away from me, and then she's thinking about something, and I'm working. And I look at her, I'm like, "Kya hua?" And she doesn't say anything. I go back to work, and then I look at her again, like, there's something wrong, right? And then she doesn't say anything. I shut my laptop, put it on side, and go back to her and just hold my hand and like, talk to me. Now that was an improvisation where we wanted to start the conversation, and I thought that because she's so concerned about whatever she's thinking about, I should not be working, because originally the scene was I'm working and she's like, I'm trying to tell her, don't worry about it, you're better than this, and then you're overthinking and everything. But somehow, because it was a wide angle, I put the laptop on the side and went to her and I was like, talk to me. And it was just out of this feeling that मुझे सुन लेना चाहिए कि वो क्या बोल रही है as a husband. But because when that season released, so many people talking about that, ki all it takes is this: shut the laptop, put it on the side, go to your wife, ask her what's up. That's all
true.
it takes.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Okay, but talking to you guys, I feel these characters are so near and dear to you. How do you say goodbye to such characters? How do you guys take it? I can't imagine. So I just want to ask you, like, how do you say goodbye to something good like this?
Hard. It's definitely hard, because to be very honest, this is the only character I've played multiple times, because the other work I've done, I've either done one season off, or in fact 2-3 shows I've come in on the second season. There it is hard because we've had so much room to play, with these characters. We've grown with them, like we got older with them, so like it's definitely hard. But like as they say in a lot of acting books, that the characters live on much longer than the actors do.
That's
You know.
nice. Very good.
Yes.
I'm going to use this line. I'm going to use
मैंने
this.
बोला acting book में so
Ooh, that was hard. How can you compete with that, Veer? Come on, let me know.
Yeah, there are actually two ways. I'll be honest about it. One is that you just move on. You say bye to the character, you move on, because it's never going to go away. It's always going to be there. Whatever you've done, whatever you've created, it's going to be there. So the end is probably to the next season. They are not going to come, but this is always going to be there. This is always going to remain. So as long as we remember it, like one of the best things that happened to us in the very start of our careers, yes, it's going to be there. There's one way to it, that you stand in front of it, you say bye bye, and you move on. You look at other characters, other stories, and that's going to happen. That's going to happen again and again in our lives. So there's one way to look at it. This and the other way is that each and every time you just look at the scene, because I was watching the first episode and नीचे suggestion में मुझे कोई और season का कोई और episode आया, मैंने वो देख लिया. That's I think my way to saying bye to it, by revisiting again and again and just being happy about it, that it happened the way it happened.
That's true. Okay, so let's talk about OTT as a platform, right? OTT and independent projects like this as a platform. What liberty it gives you as an actor? We see a lot of actors coming and showcasing their new talent. Directors are coming up. There is no existing power structure that used to be in the Indian film industry right now. So tell me, how do you take this thing? Like, you see a wave of cinema happening in the country right now. Like, what it does to an actor. How does it encourages you, or what liberty it gives you?
So I think it's the.
Do you want to go for it?
I mean, like I remember when I first came to Bombay, the best that I could hope was that, like, because I didn't have any contacts or any family, I was like, at best, I'll be the heroine's best friend, or, an elder sister or something like that, right? And those, like, let's face it, those roles in movies, like, they are supporting actually, like, you never, and I'm not talking about, I don't have that ego ki I only have to be a lead or this and that, but you do want that whatever role you're playing or whatever character you're playing has some relevance to the story, right? Otherwise, what are you doing over there? Or you have scenes that you can perform in, that you can really sort of showcase yourself or explore something. So now what I find is that, so when I first got there, I remember I moved to Versova and there was just a lot of people just hanging out, because people were just going to auditions, waiting. There was a lot of waiting. And then I think like 1 or 2 years into me being there, maybe about a year and a half after I got to Bombay, there was What the Folks happened. And after that, it happened for us, but that ball had started rolling with like Permanent Roommates and certain shows. And it was an OTT, like web series were happening. And then OTTs, and suddenly it's not just actors, writers were employed, directors were employed, sound engineers were employed. And they actually could do work that they were proud of, that meant something to them. And I mean, think about it, like, in a creative industry, actually see, like, as actors, what we really need is to be raw and to be vulnerable. Right? That's how we tap into ourselves and our talent. But what the industry requires is that you are hard and you have a hide, and so it's very different. Like, I mean, your profession requires you to be determined and courageous, and we stuck out and all of that stuff. But your actual craft requires you to be very vulnerable and very open. So it's very different, because in real life you have to shut yourself down, but when you're acting you have to open yourself up. So in your craft, our craft requires us to be open and raw and vulnerable, whereas our lives and our professions require us to sort of be defensive and be closed and have a wall. You can't have a wall once someone says action, you know what I mean? Like, then the whole thing is to drop the walls. So it was always very difficult for me, because as a person I didn't know if I'm supposed to hold back or let loose, in life in general. And I think now that there is work and there is that thoda sa that you have, that, like, something or the other will come my way to do, so that I can actually now concentrate on my craft and like how to be a better actor. Lots of actors assume that they don't have to learn anything, they just assume that they have to show up.
They have to be.
Training is very undermined in this country. People just, the day they decide to become an actor, they think that they can act. Yeah, I was a terrible actor. Honestly, I was really bad.
Don't you think that's also because we are from an industry that was so heavy on drama, that after so many years, even if you try to be yourself, and like, it comes from some sort of realism where you come and say the same lines that you've heard 10 years back in a film, hero saying it to the girl, but this time you say it real. Like, you say it like how you would say it to a girl. And when that realism is so fresh for so many people that drama becomes a little more real, then people tend to take that as their A game in acting, that you just be real, you don't prep for anything, you don't do anything, you just be real. I think the
Yeah.
problem comes when they are asked to do more. Like, even if you're trying to be real, even if you're like not being too dramatic, even if you're being subtle about it, can you dig in? You won't be able to dig in without proper training, right? Or
Yeah.
if not training, then experience. Like, one
Yeah.
thing needs to be there,
Yeah.
like either education of what you've read and what you've made yourself understand, or you've actually experienced it many times. You understand camera, you understand angles, you understand co-actors, lines, your own emotions, and many things. But something needs to be outside in, then, rather than everything being inside out, you know.
I mean, honestly, like I remember when I first came to Bombay, like, and when I had sort of been there for a while, people who were moving after me, like they would reach out to ask for help. Like, who do we talk to? Can you put us in touch with people? So I'm like, so what have you been doing to kind of prepare? Yeah, I've been going to the gym, every day,
I've been
and I've been going to the gym every day. Like I've been working out, and I'm like, your protein shake is not going to make you an actor,
That's
because
right.
you know what I mean.
that should be the title of this conversation.
Got
This should
Your
be the
it.
protein
title of
shake
this
is not
conversation. Your
Got
protein
it.
shake is not going to make you an actor. Says
yeah,
who?
but
Eisha Chopra.
well, I absolutely stand by that, because I'm like, why are you going to the gym? Go to an acting class, learn how to act. Like, because how far will your six pack take you, after a point? And now I think what's happened with
I would not know anything about it. So I don't
yeah,
know. Do you know
well,
anything about it, Imran? How far would it take you?
I
but
don't know.
the good thing about the OTT work is that, like, there is some good work happening,
That's
you
right.
know there is some good work, and what's great about is that, more importantly, the audiences are changing. Like
That's
now, like Tamil and Malayali cinema, like suddenly people who don't speak the language, like they want to watch that stuff, because there's some good scripts happening there. So I think the audience is also, like, is getting better, more intelligent. They expect more out of us now.
That's true.
No,
That's what I've been
I
What?
beg to differ in
thinking
this.
about, is
I
that
think
OTT has
I don't.
unified us as a
Sorry.
one industry. There's no more Tamil, there's no more Telugu, there's no more Hindi cinema. It's just pure Indian cinema right now. And I'm so
Yeah, but
excited to see the cinema
can
grow in
you
our
say it?
country.
Sorry, can you say it with confidence that now that we have more like stories and everything, we are making better things? I
No,
didn't
we're
think
on the
so.
verge of making better things. We are still to learn, but
I
I can
think
see
we
the
are
way back.
still no. I beg to differ. I think we are still formula oriented. There are many shows. If we are talking about crime, we talk about crime. It's like, do you remember many years back, Ajay Devgan had announced a Bhagat Singh,
Right.
right? And then Bobby Deol announced one. Then Sonu Sood announced one. Then Raj Babbar announced one. Then everyone started making films on Bhagat Singh. I remember at that point in time, I used to work with Jaspal Bhatti. I was a child, and we did street plays, 30, 40 street plays, saying Ek Bhagat Singh hum bhi banayenge, because this is how we work. Like, if we start working on crime, we'll take like 3 years to work only on crime. If we're trying to work on biopics, we'll take 3 years only making biopics. The reason why Malayalam films and other languages are breaking that barrier and trying to become pan India, because they are personal stories. Like, they are personal, like the director or the writer. It's like, even if I watch something like Jallikattu, or if I watch something like Master, or all these people are making films which is true to themselves. We, on the other hand, in Hindi cinema, even when we have so many OTT platforms, so many new shows, so many opportunities, so much going on, there is still very few people who are just trying to say things in their own way, you know.
True. You're saying we are just following the trend, what's happening, right? We're still doing that.
Obviously we are. And like, if you look at the lineup of all these people who have it, there is hardly anything that that this is going to be original. A certain sort of director is directing a certain sort of story, and the other sort of director is I'm not saying there is no personal touch in Hindi storytelling, but I don't think, like, if you look at Malayalam cinema, most of the director writers, they are fighting with themselves to make a better film, right? We fight to make something bigger.
Mhm.
That's the difference. And I think like maybe in couple of more years, when we have like different things, no, which we know that like on our like toes, we will remember कि मतलब ये बना था यार, this was good, this was very good, this was very good. अभी बहुत सारी भीड़ है, which is good for the employment. Like when I had come to Bombay, I would see ads or big stars posters or television shows, anything that was huge enough. I would see on hoardings and everything. Right now, you drive around, you see so many hoardings, you haven't even seen the trailer. You don't even know about the story. You don't even know what channel that is on. So there is definitely many stories, many people making many things, but how original and honest that is, I'm not really sure about that.
I had a lovely time chatting with you guys. It was amazing. What the Folk season 4 is already streaming, so you guys can check it out. These guys are amazing. As soon as you watch, you'll feel nostalgia. I would recommend you guys to watch season 1 to 4 together. It's an amazing show. Thank you so much, Eisha. Thank you so much for being on the show.